Hello and welcome back to the Leader of the Pack podcast. I am your friend and confidant, Marcelo, and I'll be here with you as we share some wisdom, insight, and laughter in today's world. I am super excited for today's episode. We have an amazing treat for you. I had an opportunity this week to interview one of our LOP brothers, Gabriel, and his darling wife, Pisey. We talked a little bit about what life was like before Leader of the Pack, after going to Israel, our big Israel trip that we do every year, how much has changed since coming back, and what he really feels he's learned being a member of this. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this. So I'd like to introduce you guys to Gabriel and Pisey. So Gabe, tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you guys been married? How many kids do you have? All that good stuff.
Thank you for having me. This is a real honor to be on this podcast. And well, me and my wife Pisey have known each other 13 years. And we've been married. We're going on 7 years of marriage. And we have 3 kids. We have a 15-year-old, Gabriel Jr., and we have a 5-year-old. His name is Noah, and a 3-year-old, and her name is Zoe.
Tell me a little bit about your life before you joined Leader of the Pack. What was your relationship like? What was your home life like?
I think it was there was a lot of fighting. There was before LOP, we didn't really see eye to eye with a lot of things. The way we raise our kids, we just couldn't agree with anything. We were just in that gray area where we just didn't want to deal with a lot of our stuff. So we kind of, we distanced ourselves from the relationship, and we were not really on board with a lot of things.
Did you guys find like you wanted to do something a certain way and she wanted to do it her own way, and you would end up appeasing yourself and doing it what worked best, but then grumbling with a level of, dare I say it, resentment?
Yes, there was a lot of that going on. Because the arguments and all the stress that came with it kind of built up over the years, and so it became very. It was just like this pressure that was there, and we just didn't know how to deal with it.
So what did you do to deal with it? You didn't know how to deal with it, but obviously you've been married 7 years. You've known each other for 13 years. How did that pan out? What did you guys do if you didn't know how to deal with it?
I knew that there was something that I was missing. I knew that I was not handling our situations correctly. And I knew that I was lacking on something. I just didn't know what it was. And, when I bumped into this program, Leader of the Pack, and I learned these new ways of dealing with these issues from home, because I met other men that were in the same situation that I was in. And so when I built this brotherhood with all these other men that are in there, including you, and we were just, I was just very happy to have been in this type of group, very honored to be in this type of group that would show me so many things that I did not know, and the men were very supportive. I didn't get no judgment from them. It was mostly them trying to build me up, get me strong, and go lead that family that needed help. That was the bottom line for me right there.
That's so great. Recently we talked on our podcast about how it's so simple sometimes. It really is so simple about just reaching out to a brother or reaching out to a guy and saying, hey man, I'm not able to do this alone. Can you just help me? So that's awesome, man. That's so great that you're willing to be vulnerable enough to reach out to guys. That's something in our society that we don't do a lot. And I think that's one of the strong pillars that we stand on at Leader of the Pack, having that opportunity to reach out to other men and be vulnerable and transparent. That's awesome. Awesome that you did that. I'm so proud to be a part of that life for you. So let's talk about how long have you been a part of Leader of the Pack? How long have you been a member?
Since 2018, I went to the very first Leader of the Pack. I think that was the breakthrough for me. And I just felt like I don't know. It felt like I was awakened, and I feel like, well, it felt like, it was something that I was lacking on. So this program really taught me. So it was just so many things. It was just not like one thing. It was so many things emotionally, and just feeling that empowerment that I can get these tools and bring them back home, lead my family, and just become that leader that they needed me to be.
That's so great. So many things is true, right? Because as men, as leaders, not to downplay what the wives do in our lives, but as men, we're asked and we're called to do so much. We're told to be strong. We're told to not have emotions. We're told to suck it in, stand up, puff our chest out. And yet you're right. There's so many things that we have to. It's a multifaceted approach, right? Leader of the pack and the brotherhood, and what we try to accomplish is a multifaceted approach about standing up and leading and protecting and attacking all these things at the same time. And you're right. Without the brothers alongside you, you can't do this. You just can't do this. You said earlier that you bumped into LOP. Tell me about that. How did you find Leader of the Pack? How did you bump into an organization like this, a brotherhood like this?
I think it was it was the first time I ever heard of it when I saw Natan. It was in Maui, in Hawaii, and he was speaking and at one of the events, and I saw him there, and I've heard that he had this program called Leader of the Pack, and I was just it wasn't really like something that I was like, wow, I gotta go and check this out. I just heard him, and I saw him speak. My wife had something to do with that, where one of her friends from that event that we went to told my wife, look, there's this program, there's some spots open, Leader of the Pack, and if you want to send your husband out there, go, you should get a place there. And sure enough, she brought it to my attention a few times. I really didn't want to go. I remember her bringing the manual and saying, look, read it, and you're gonna, just go out there. I really did not read the manual. I didn't know anything about it. Nothing, completely nothing. My wife I think it was the third time she told me, are you sure you don't want to go? I mean, you're going to at least go to Israel to see it as a vacation. So I was like, sure. Okay, then I'll go then.
Hold up. So you're looking at this. She's telling you, obviously, and you know what? God bless you, Pisey, for doing that, because obviously it's blessed you a lot. You're giggling like crazy, but obviously it blessed you a lot. But I'll admit it. I was kind of in the same boat where it was like, whatever. I'm not going to be a part of this thing. And well, at least I'll get to see Israel, right? So worst case, you get to go visit the Holy Land. Really? You get to visit the Holy Land. That was the worst case scenario. So you're like, all right, I'll pack my bags and go. Really? That's super funny.
Yeah, pretty funny. Much.
All right, so go on though. So right. That was it. That there was no like, I want to better myself, or I want to be a better husband. At what point? At what point did it change to go like, maybe I should look at myself?
Yeah, I went in there blind, and I didn't really expect what would happen there. I really didn't, because I could tell you, if I would have read that manual, I would have not been going over there, because it was about me exposing my personal life, and something that it's embarrassing for some men to expose personal things in your life. But I think God planned this, and he knew what I needed he knew what I needed, because I can feel that, in this path that I'm taking, I can feel that he's building me up for something. I just don't know what. But all I'm doing right now is just following that thing that is pulling me.
Yeah, that's good. So how has your life changed since you're a stronger leader now? How much has your life changed since becoming a member of Leader of the Pack?
It has changed dramatically, where Like now I think about how silly it was of me trying to hide in my shames and my fails and, you know, everything that came with it. I feel silly because, you know, all along my family needed me to step up. They needed me to be that leader that where when anything happens, you know, I'll be the one they need to come to. And that's been mostly like my thing where that's where that was the vision I always wanted to see.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, and you feel like you're reaching that?
Yeah, I feel like over the years now, I feel more confident in myself and you know, the things that I put into practice with my wife, investing in her, investing in my kids, getting to know them a lot better. I really build a relationship with them where, you know, I stop with the judgment and I stop complaining and just being the strict father where, you know, now my kids, they trust me to for anything that, you know, goes on in their life. They trust me with that information. And so I'm very happy that, you know, everything turned out that way.
That's so awesome. Trust from children. You know, I know in my life, that's still a dynamic that I'm working on, the relationship with my kids. You know, I haven't been at home as much as I wanted to because of my work life. And that's probably been one of the biggest blessings right now during this this pandemic is the fact that I'm home 24/7 now. So I'm not getting that opportunity to build that relationship. So that's really great that you touched on that. So Gabe, tell me a little bit about, you know, what you've enjoyed most being a part of this brotherhood.
What I've enjoyed more from this brotherhood, I think the relationship that I built with the men, where I know more about them and knowing that, you know, I'm not the only one in this, these type of situations. You know, we're all going together on this journey. That's how I feel. And the things I love most about this is it's the movement to empower men. Because, you know, living here in the United States, you know, well, there's not a lot of men that are strong. Like, you know, there's not a manual that says, look, this is how a father should be. This is how a husband should be. Because if there was, trust me, we'd all be doing our job, right? And so for me, this is one of my favorite things about LOP, because I know when I went through it the first time and I felt what I felt, I was like, any man that walks through these doors and comes here, he will also feel the change, the power in this. You know, because LOP, I don't see it like these tough guys coming in here and being all like hot shots and stuff like that. You know, it starts with the leadership at home, because, you know, your kids, when they grow up and they become men, that's what we're throwing out there in society now. That's what we're putting out there, that man that built that structure at home. And now we have these men out there, you know, doing the same thing. Like I talk to ever since I came from LOP, I train my kids differently now. Like what I feed them in their mind, everything is so different. Like I explain to them how things are and how society is, how society will try to change you, but you always have to stick to what's right and wrong. You know, this basic information. But, you know, we have the cell phones and all that feed our kids all this, you know, junk that's not really true. It's pretty much Hollywood stuff. Today, you know, you have, back in the days, I'm pretty sure, you know, kids were raised a lot better than today because we didn't have too much TV and, you know, all that stuff.
That's so awesome. So what has LOP done for your work life, right? So it's obviously done a great deal for your relationship, right? It's done a great deal as a parent. What about work?
Mm-hmm. Well, with work, I've always worked. I've always had a job and I always done this, but since I started trying to, you know, develop other skills where I want to start my own business, you know, get a feel of that, and just doing other things. I mean, I feel like I'm pushing myself more to succeed in that department because I want to be a better provider for them and for the kids, you know, just showing them that hardship, you know.
Yeah, I do. So Gabe, let me ask you this. You joined like 2 years ago. What would you say to that Gabriel from 2 years ago that was on the fence, that wasn't sure whether or not he wanted to go to Israel, whether or not he wanted to be a part of this brotherhood, whether or not he wanted to really look at that guy in the mirror and fix himself? You know, you talked about your relationship when you guys were fighting. You talked about the distance between the two of you guys. You talked about the challenging times at home raising your kids, right? You talked about all this stuff. What would you say to that guy right now who's on the fence?
Wow, that's a pretty tough question, but I did think about it so many times, because as I look back and I see those pictures of myself, how I was hiding and I wasn't really too engaged, I would really tell him, what is important to you? I would ask that question, and if he would answer me and say my family, then I said, you need to get your ass up and do that for your family. That's what I would say.
That's so awesome. All right, so Pisey, look, we've got an opportunity to kind of dig into Gabe a little more and find out more about him. Tell me, in your opinion, what's been some of the biggest changes or transformation you've seen Gabe go through since leaning into the brotherhood?
First, thank you for having me on here. I am like shocked when he said they want to interview us. I was like, me? What do I have to do with this? But I'm hoping that my answers would bless another wife who's probably struggling with her husband, and needing a man that actually is a protector. But back to your question, LOP has totally changed the dynamic in our family. Like, we've done personal development. Like he was telling you the story, he didn't really want to be there. He didn't know what was LOP about, but I knew something was missing, and I knew that there was a part of what it means to be a man that was missing in Gabriel, and I cannot provide the answer to him. So with that being said, the first time he returned from leader of the pack, he was different. Like, the next day I had to go to work, and I wake up, you know, my job starts at 4 or 5 in the morning, and he woke up with me, and I thought, oh, maybe it's just jet lag. And he walked me to my car, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, walking to your car. For what? That was like my total reaction, because it's unexpected. Because, you know, he was never that protector. He was never the leader. Yeah. It was kind of like complacent, whatever. You got to go to work. That's your problem. I'm not going to get out of bed. So that has totally changed. And I was really surprised that he's kept up for 2 years, honestly, because we've known each other 13 years, and I always start work early. And there was the old Gabe wouldn't even hear my alarm clock. Like, he's now setting up his alarm to remind him to wake up, to make sure that I'm protected when I'm walking to go to work, to get to my car.
How noble is that? Because, you know, you don't park in the driveway. You don't park in a garage right in your home. You have a couple blocks sometimes, right? He's told me stories where sometimes you're lucky if you just have to walk down the street a block. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 blocks away, right?
Yeah. So I would walk alone.
How noble of a man, how much chivalry does that show to say, you know what, sweetie, I'm going to get up from my warm, cozy bed, and I'm going to walk you to your car. Make sure your car works. Did it ever happen where you get to your car and the battery doesn't work? Your car doesn't start?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. But, you know, that's one of the fears that I had. And before he used to walk me to my car, I actually carry with me a mace in my hand, because I walk alone at 3 in the morning, you know, 2 or 3 blocks away. And so I would carry a mace with me. Now I don't feel that I need to look over my shoulder, because there's someone looking over my shoulder.
And no wife should ever be walking to her car at 3 o'clock in the morning alone, period. End of story. So that's a huge shift, Gabe. I am so proud. I'm so proud of you to hear that. That is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So what else has happened? So we talked about the family life. Tell me more about what you've seen at home.
He was the passive father, you know, let the kids be kids. You're too strict with them. You can't, why can't you just let them be kids? So there was a lot of miscommunication.
And this is what he was saying to you.
Yeah.
Right. So you were the strict mom. You were the strict, like the dictator at home.
I'm the dictator.
Okay.
And basically he's the good cop. I'm the bad cop. I'm always catching the kids doing stuff. And basically I pay a lot of attention to the older one because, for me, he sets the example for the little ones. So it's always like you're picking on him and, the list goes on, right? But very passive. Sometimes I come back from work and the house is a mess, or, he complains about I don't help clean the house, whatnot. But that has changed since leader of the pack. Like I actually come home to a clean home. And he's learned how to make some dinner, easy dinner that when I'm not able to cook because I have long work hours, I'm not coming home and running straight to the kitchen to prepare dinner for the family as well. So there's a lot of the dynamic has changed. He has become more of the disciplinary father and take away a lot of the stress. I mean, I am pretty sure he told you I'm a stepmother to his son. So it took away a lot of the stress that I had to deal with a tween, who is now a teen. But ever since with leader of the pack, I didn't have to be the dictator anymore. I'm not the bad cop anymore. Like we took a fair share of it. And it changes in how the kids are too. They're not going to one parent and trying to see which parent's going to say yes to them. They know awesome. That it's the same answer.
You have a united front.
Yeah.
And that's something you didn't have before.
No, it was a constant fighting. The kids would run and to hide, or the 15-year-old would just think something bad is going to happen because it's a constant battle every day. I mean, we basically live like roommates before leader of the pack.
Wow. That's crazy. So are there any areas in your life or in your relationship that have grown since being a part of Leader of the Pack? And let me just clarify, Leader of the Pack isn't just this Israel trip that we all do in October, right? It's constant check-ins, We're all active in our Facebook group. We all have a part of this accountability call that we meet every Sunday. I think we've met 57 Sundays in a row. I don't know the actual number, but we meet every single Sunday. Like all this comes into account, But what are some areas in your relationship or your home life that have grown that you really never thought would change the way they did? You're the one who pushed them to Israel. You're the one who pushed them and said, you should really go. Is there anything that he came back with that really surprised you that you didn't think would change?
I think open communication. And the fact that he opened up to the men that he met there, because there was a point where I said, we go to the same training seminars where, sometimes you have to find new set of friends because your environment determines who you really are. And he was not open to that. He was not open to finding new friends. He's like, I'm good with the group of guys that I hang out with every other weekend. So leave me alone. I don't need any of that stuff. I don't want anyone to know about my life. My life is my life. I can handle this. I don't need anybody telling me how to run my life. That was his answer to me. But since leader of the pack, with the accountability and everything that's going on, he's more open with what's going on inside of him. We've actually had nice long chats that we normally would have never had, because there's times where a nice chat turns into major arguments where we don't talk for days because we couldn't see eye to eye and we the judgment that we have for each other. So there was, a lot of personal development with him, with how he, are able to now open up to me and, or at least try to understand the stress and the frustration that I have when I, work dealing with corporate, instead of, him doing his own little side business where his only stress is the only person he has to talk to is really him. So, but it's the open communication between us. It's the ability to be able to openly discuss about our feelings and emotions that I didn't think he would ever share with me.
That's so beautiful. That's amazing. So I'll ask you the same thing. If you had to do it over again, and you look back a couple of years ago, would you have sent him?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, without a doubt. I mean, I asked him like 3 times. I was like, so side note, when I opened the information packet, I knew exactly that I really wanted him to be there. So that's why I asked him like 3 times, because I read the whole thing. I'm the type that I read the whole itinerary and I knew exactly what he was getting himself into. But I didn't want to tell him because I know he relies on the fact that if I read, I'm passing the information. And I knew that if I told him the information, he would not go. Yeah, so I said, so you're going to read this on your own.
That's so funny.
But I would send him back all the time.
What would you say to other women who may be hesitant about their husbands being a part of this organization, chiming in and giving up an hour every Sunday? Do you have any nuggets you would share with the other wives out there?
So for me, leader of the pack, it's more than letting him have his little boys' time. It's developing who he is designed to be. And that 1 hour that he has to spend with them is worth more than gold. Because that 1 hour is going to develop him into the man that maybe what I dream of having, the husband, the father that I dream of having. And never in a million years I thought that I would ever see him develop in that way. Because I used to be like, gosh, why can't he be more a disciplinary father? Then that would take less away stress. But it was not up to me to change him. And there's nothing I can do to change him. It has to come from him. But in order for him to change, he needs to find the type of men and the type of leaders that could speak that into him. And I completely agree 100% that leader of the pack is the place to be, because these are all men that are all trying to go through their life challenges in some aspect and able to share what they know and their knowledge to help each other out.
That's so great. So great. So that kind of wraps us up. Is there anything else that I didn't touch on that you guys really feel like something that you want to share about Leader of the Pack?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share this with Leader of the Pack, my experience with this program. I really love the program. I feel like any man that's broken or any man that's going through any type of hardships in his family or finances or whatever it is that they're seeking, I really recommend them to come to Leader of the Pack. For me, it was mostly about coming back and coming and leading my family. That they needed me. They needed me to step up. They needed me to just to be that protector that they can feel comfortable around, and that that nothing in life can harm them because they have somebody that could protect them. So for me, that was gold for me. And any man that is struggling with their family, they don't know, because I came from a single parent, so I never got to see that. I didn't know what a man role was in a family like that. It was never shown to me, so I never knew. I was raised by my mother, a woman, and she couldn't give me that knowledge. So being able to learn all those things here at Leader of the Pack, for me, this was so awesome and just an all great experience. So I recommend any man that's out there that knows that he's missing something inside, that because a real man is a whole different definition. It's nothing else. A man is just, what symbolizes a man: responsibility, the lover, the protector, the sensitive man, the caring man. To me, that is a man right there.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you so much for your transparency and honesty. I'm really grateful. I'm really, really grateful.
Thank you for having us.
Man, it was so nice interviewing those two. They are a joy and a pleasure to have a conversation with. So, did you learn something today? I hope you did. Be sure to join in the conversation on Facebook. Search for us at Leader of the Pack. You want some more info? Hit that subscribe button below. We are coming to you every single week with something new. Be sure to follow us on social media too. We'll have all the links in the description down below. Remember, above all else, leadership starts with you. So, what are you going to do this week to stand up, lead, and protect?